So today I'm going to be taking my neighbor Seth on his first ever Tesla ride. So he's never been in one before, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time at first kind of orienting him with the vehicle and telling him how some of the controls are, which a lot of you have already seen. But just kind of get him acquainted with how things work and all that. And then we'll give him an opportunity to pick where he wants to go, and we'll let him try it out, let him see what he thinks. What's up, man? If you just push the fat part and grab the skinny part, it'll I might have to actually unlock. Let's see. There we go. Try it now. Yeah, push in the fat, grab the skinny, and it'll open up. There you go. When new people first walk up, that's the first thing they're confused. It's like, hey, how do you get the handle thing on here?
They're Dave Kindig handles.
What's that?
Dave Kindig.
Oh yeah? I don't know they had a name to him.
Well, he invented those for hot rods.
Okay. Very cool.
Son of a gun. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I guess I'll show you how this thing works first. So for anybody that's watching, this is my, I got the video going right now. I got video right there looking at us, so I can see both of us. And this one right here films the screen.
What?
And the video going forward. There's a couple GoPros for my channel, my YouTube channel.
Wow.
Like getting first impression videos. But yeah, so you'll see there's no gauge cluster or anything up here. Like everything, you got your speed and your speed limit, and what gear you're in, all that's up here. This little bar down here kind of shows your your radio stuff, and you can swipe over to get all your trip meters and your odometer, and then one more over tells you your tire real-time tire pressures.
Wow.
And then so you got your HD map up here, which it's just like an iPad. I mean, you can basically do just like you can spin around and zoom in, and you can, and it's pretty accurate as far as the position. I mean, you can see like exactly where you are on your driveway and the orientation.
Wow.
And you can, and it pulls it from Google. So as Google updates their maps, it updates. And then you can navigate by just tapping here, similar to any other car that's got navigation.
Yeah.
But you can also just drop a pin somewhere. So like if you didn't know, like if you're like, well, I want to go to this guy's house over here, but I don't know his address. If you know where he is on the map, you can just tap and hold, and it'll drop a pin, and then you can tell it to go. And it'll,
that's what the pin is.
It'll go to your pin. You can save locations and stuff too.
Wow.
But then for other stuff inside the menu, you just tap this little car icon, and it pulls up your main stuff. So you've got all your normal preference type settings, and it just went into park by itself because I was sitting here and drive. For your preference type settings, you can, adjust your mirrors, your wiper speeds, your steering wheel position, all that kind of stuff is done from here. And like if you want to adjust the steering wheel, you go here and it tells you to use the scroll wheel to
oh my God,
out and in like that. And then if you don't like the position, you can hit restore, and it moves it back to where it was before, and it saves it to whoever's profile it is. So like if me and Lisa both drove it, she would have a set of settings and I would have a set of settings, and whoever gets in and whoever's key it picks up, it'll automatically adjust everything.
Yeah, from your seat, I guess the sensors in the seat.
Well, it just picks it up from your phone. It's like my phone's the key, so when it gets close to it, it unlocks the door, and then like it knows whose profile it is based on what phone it is.
Really?
So yeah, and you can even share, like I could send you, like let's say my car was sitting over there and we were out of town and I needed it to be moved or something, or you needed to borrow it or something, I could actually send you remote access.
What?
And when you walked up to it, basically you would have access through the app, and it would let you in and let you drive it.
What? Man. Yeah. You don't want anybody to steal that.
Well, yeah, and it makes it hard too, because it makes it harder to steal, because it's almost like a biometric identification. It's like if your phone's not on you, but you can also set up stuff as far as, let's see, I think is it.
My God.
Safety, I don't remember exactly which menu it's in, but you can set up pin to drive. So you can make it to where even if somebody got your phone, someone stole your phone or robbed you and took your phone or whatever, if you've got pin to drive set up, as soon as they go in order to be able to go into drive, a little keypad will pop up and it will make you put in a pin code. Otherwise, it's disabled. And you can set that up from the app too. So like if you
could disable
somebody
it
holds
too?
you up and's like, hey, give me your car, you can pull up your app and be like, all right, disable and shut it down pretty much.
Wow.
I've seen they actually had a case a couple years ago where a guy's Model X got stolen out of his driveway. Like somebody came up to him, held him up. Actually, I think it was at his mom's house, and basically said, you know, give me the key card. They've got there's a key card that's kind of a backup, and I just keep it in here in case my phone, you know, craps out or something.
Wow.
That's also the key. So you can drive by just putting this down here on the thing, and it picks it up just like it does your phone. It's like a Bluetooth type thing, and it'll also unlock the doors from the outside. So
wow.
in that case, some guy came up and to this guy's mom. It was at his house, and he's like, "Hey, you know, give me the car, give me the key card." So of course she did. You know, she didn't want to, she had a gun and stuff. But once she called her son and said, "Hey, somebody just stole your car," he pulled up his phone, and you can limit the speed remotely. So he pulled it up and basically said, limit speed to 30 miles an hour, which basically disables the vehicle. And then he called the cops. He's like, "Hey, here's where they are. They can't go faster than 30. Go get them." You know?
Yeah. Oh my God.
so
that has a chip in it?
Yeah, kind of like any other credit card. It's got some kind of little coil in there that it picks up.
Wow, man. Oh,
so
man.
That's just as a backup. You don't have to have that on you all the time. But if for some reason my phone, you know, if I dropped the phone in the lake or something, I'm like, oh man, what am I gonna do? You can just use that to drive.
My God.
So yeah, so you got, I mean, all the different preference settings. So on autopilot, I've got it set all the way to full self-driving, and then you can set whether you want it to be assertive or chill. Or I've got mine set to average, and then you can tell it whether you want it to like beep at you when the light turns green, and how fast you want it to go over the speed limit or under the speed limit. You can kind of dial all that stuff in.
Wow.
However you want.
So if you're coming up to a light and the light changes and you're on automatic driving, it will stop by itself?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And that's part of the reason I started this channel, because Tesla's been working on this software for years now, and it's getting better and better as they're updating it and everything. But there's a ton of people that just have no idea what it'll do. Like a lot of people that they see some of these autonomous driving companies out in San Francisco and stuff where they're geofenced, like Waymo and Cruise. There's a couple other ones that.
And trucks too are doing it.
Yeah.
And Phoenix, I think.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of those, and some of them are good in their small little geofenced area, but they're basically constricted to that one specific route, and that's how they're tailored to.
I-10 or something.
That's right. But the way Tesla's doing it is they're using what they call Tesla Vision, which is just the cameras. That's it. There's no high definition map data required. There's no LiDAR, like radar type visualization stuff. None of that. And they even took the ultrasonic sensors out, the little proximity sensors on the bumpers that a lot of cars have.
Really?
They just use cameras, so it's just looking just like you or I would, and it brings all that data in, and the computer uses artificial intelligence to drive. Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, and that's what actually. So when I put it in reverse, when it brings up this visualization, and it's picking up the general objects. You see, like if we got, and I'll put it actually in drive, and I'll come up here like closer to the garage. At low speeds, it's just using the cameras to basically draw this like a 3D depiction of what's around you. So if you get up kind of close to another object, as you get closer, it's like this little heat map thing that, see, it kind of starts turning yellow or orange, and you can actually, it kind of puts together a 3D model of your surroundings.
Man.
But that's all, and it looks like a LiDAR image, but that's all based on what the cameras are picking up, so it sees the objects to kind of give you the warning of what's, and even it's picking up my fence back there.
So where's the cameras?
There's 3, well, you got an internal cabin camera in here, and that's mostly looking at the driver for the attention stuff, because if you start, you know, digging in the back or looking around or staring out this way too long, it'll give you a warning. It's like, hey, pay attention to the road, like while autopilot's going, because it's still right now a level 2 system, meaning the driver's completely responsible. Like, you know, they're not saying you can let go of the wheel and just do whatever. Yeah. You've still got to be attentive, and so that's part of that driver monitoring, to make sure that nobody's abusing the system by, like, you know, get on TikTok and be like, look, I'm asleep, you know, just doing stupid stuff with it, you know.
That'd be nuts.
Because it's getting really, really good. It's not perfect yet, so like they've got liability too. They don't want people to abuse it, and then
why, you could cheat?
What's that?
You could cheat.
Well, I mean, by just, if you repetitively don't pay attention, then the chances that you run into something are, you know, pretty high. And, yeah, and so you don't want.
My God, dude, that's insane.
Yeah, and the cameras are pretty good too. So it's got. Oh, yeah, you had asked about the camera. So in addition to the inside camera, there's three cameras on the front of this box that all look forward. So you've got one wide view, and then you've got like a shorter narrow view, and then a longer range narrow view camera.
Peripheral vision or whatever.
Yeah, and then just below the rear view mirrors out here, there's two blind spot cameras that look back, basically the angle of the mirrors, so it kind of looks back at each side this way. And when you put on the blinker, that's those cameras that come up right and left that show you your blind spot.
Wow.
And then there's a camera in each of these pillars right beside our heads right here, and they look kind of angled frontwards this way. And then there's one on the very back that looks backwards. You've got 8 total on the outside.
Wow.
That are you know, basically doing all of the.
That's crazy, because my pickle only got one backup camera.
Yeah, and one thing too, like our last couple of vehicles have had a backup camera, but if you're going above like 5 miles an hour, it won't let you pull up the backup camera.
Oh,
but this
really?
right here, yeah, if you hit the camera button.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Well, you can be going 70 miles an hour on the interstate or whatever and pull this up. So if you're like, if you had a trailer, or if you had, you know, a luggage rack or something, yeah, you can pull up and actually see anytime you want to. You can pull that up.
My God, and probably beam right in their license plate.
If it had a front plate.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so where do you want it to try to go? So like we can either
go
the
area.
Yeah, well, I mean, and because what I want to make sure that the people that are watching don't think that, oh, Barry's just going somewhere he knows it does well. Like, I want to pick somewhere that's maybe a surprise to me and let it drive and kind of show you what it'll do by itself. So we can either, I mean, we can go somewhere downtown where there's like traffic, or if we can go out where the roads may not be quite as clear, out here somewhere. It's just, you know, wherever you think.
Snell's Tractor Supply.
Right. Is that a place? I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, Jeremy gets his lawnmower stuff there.
Snell and Associates?
Yeah, it's on, what's that road?
Or is it Farm Equipment?
Farm Equipment.
US 84, Snell Max Farm Equipment?
Yeah, and you go out here and make a left and go through the back. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. All right. Yeah, so it may be closed because it's Saturday, but yeah. All right. So
it'd be a location, right?
Yeah, and so what it does, so now that you've got a destination programmed in here, it tells you, so we've got 60% battery right now. It tells you down here how long it's going to take us to get there, how many miles, and then what our battery percentage is when we get there.
Wow.
And then it
that's
gives you
for the car?
Yeah. And then it gives you a trip indicator. It kind of gives you a real time about how far through your trip, and that was a recent addition. And whenever this little steering wheel icon pops up, the little gray steering wheel, that basically tells you, hey, I'm ready. Anytime you want autopilot to pick up or for full self-driving, all I gotta do is click down on this once and it's got it.
Really?
And you'll be able to watch, like, while it's engaged, I won't have to touch the accelerator or the brake, and the only time I'll have to touch the steering wheel is it'll give me like a little prompt. It'll say, you know, give a slight pressure on the wheel to make sure you're paying attention. That's basically that nag to say,
really,
is the driver still attentive?
Gotcha.
The next version that's about to come out does away with that. As long as it can see your eyes, this camera, it won't even nag you. So you can just sit there indefinitely and not touch the wheel. But
wow,
you'll probably see it. Some words come up and it'll like slowly blink blue, and that's to tell me, hey, and I'll just give a little bit of a pressure on the side of the wheel just to let it know that I'm still in control. So
there's sensors even in here.
Yeah, and what it does, it's not like a pressure, like a squeeze sensor. It's looking for a slight like move of the wheel, and I don't have to even really turn it. I just have to give a little pressure on the turn, and it can feel that feedback, and then it knows, hey, yeah, I'm paying attention. Or you can do the scroll wheels anytime, like
oh my God, it's like a computer.
Yeah, if you move this one, it'll change your once FSD is engaged. If you scroll this up or down, it changes your max speed set point. So without having to use the pedal, you can bump it just like cruise control on the wheel. You can bump it up. So you may see me do that because sometimes when it pulls out onto a new road where it hasn't seen a speed limit sign, it's using the cameras to look for the speed limit signs too, and that's how it knows what these speed limits are. So sometimes when it pulls out on a road, even though Fortner may be 45, it may default to 25 until it sees the sign, and they'll have to get better with that because that's kind of a pain to have to flick the speed up. But
gotcha.
Anyway, but you'll also see like, and I'll let you drive it if you want, but you can basically you can use one pedal driving. In most EVs you can do that too because of the regen braking. Basically it, the way motors work, if you put power to the motor, it spins and puts power out, basically, the rotation power out. But if you manually rotate a rotor shaft, it can reverse power. Basically, you can send, that's how a generator works, right? You spin it with a turbine or whatever, and it sends power back. Well, these can work both directions too, so they use that to their advantage. And whenever you let off the accelerator, it reverse powers the motors to the wheels
to keep the
and uses the momentum to slow the car and to put power back on the battery at the same time.
Really?
So it helps extend your range. So you can basically drive without touching the brake. You just basically let off the accelerator when you want to stop and put it on when you want to go. And it's kind of a weird feeling, but it's nice once you get used to it.
My God, the technology is insane.
Yeah, and as you can see, we're sitting on a hill, and I'm not touching the brake or anything because the regen holds it, and once you stop, it applies the mechanical brakes to hold you. And there's settings where you can either turn that on or off. But I've got it on, so we're in drive right now with no foot on the pedals.
Yeah.
And once it stops, it applies the brakes to hold you there, so you don't have to worry about rolling or anything.
So how do you know when you want to take off? Like, what do you do? Just hit the throttle?
Without FSD on, all I would have to do is just give it a little bit of accelerator, and it's gonna go as it ease up, and you let off of it, and it just comes to a stop, and then it just gently puts you in hold.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so as soon as I click down on this once, that'll turn blue, and then the car will have it, and it's going to take us to this address.
And look at that's like moving.
Yeah, that little squiggly is kind of telling you what decision it's about to make. So it's saying based on our route, that's the route that it's planning on taking. And once I engage it, that'll turn blue, and so it's going to show you your path of where it intends to go.
Okay.
So, you ready?
So after you do that and you want to come back, it automatically knows it in the computer already?
As far as like coming back here?
Yeah,
you could route back home, so you can either navigate to a new address, or you can tell it when you don't have any navigation set, you can just take your finger and swipe down on the navigation, and it'll take you home if you're not already home. And then like it'll pre-program routes based on your schedule, so like it knows what time I go to work every day. So when I get in the morning to go to work, I don't even have to program it. It's just automatically programmed to work, and I just tell it to go.
Wow.
It actually learns a little bit too. So like, there's a place we go to lunch almost every Saturday over in Ashford, and so if we get in the car midday on Saturday, it'll automatically, the very first choice on the navigation will be David's Pizza in Ashford. That's where we have to go get tacos over there.
What?
Yeah.
My God, it's insane.
Yeah, and so as soon as I engage the FSD, this screen will come all the way over. It'll be a full screen FSD view, and your map kind of gets sort of blended in up here, so you can kind of see where it's going to go. But
so what's FSD stand for?
Full self-driving.
Full self-driving.
Yeah, and so and you'll see once this gets on here, you'll be able to see you can see right now that it doesn't really show most stationary stuff like our houses and stuff. It doesn't worry about that because it's not concerned that the house is going to run out in the road. But if there was a person, even like if Russ was standing way over here in his yard, you'd be able to see him, and you can see these cars way off in the distance, even things in their driveway, because
oh my God, so they're the trucks in the in the road.
So because cars are important objects, right? Because any of those cars at any point could drive out into the road and become an obstruction. So it wants to know where the cars are, and it wants to know where the people are. And if there's like cones or barrels, like construction stuff, it really pays attention to those too, because that's also important information. But everything else that's superfluous, it wouldn't make sense to render all the trees, because that's just using up extra data that it doesn't need to use up by by trying to render all the environment.
So does that work from like heat? Like what do they call that? From like the hot or whatever?
Like a thermal type image.
Yeah.
It does. It's just pure vision. So it's just the cameras. So even those cars way over there, the cameras picked up where they are, and the system will remember too. So even if like if a truck is there but a car pulls in front of it, it remembers that other truck's there even though it can't see it, because it uses artificial intelligence to remember where things are.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence. That could be scary.
Skynet stuff, right?
Yeah. My God, that's
right.
insane, brother.
You ready to try this out?
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm just gonna click down once, and it's got
And
it.
if a car was coming, it would automatically stop.
That's right.
Holy.
So yeah, so it sees the trucks in the road. I'm not doing anything. It's going around them because it knows they're there, just like a person would.
Oh my God. So you could tell the car to go pick me up a pizza and bring it back home.
Not yet. I mean, ultimately, that's the way they're wanting to go with this robo-taxi thing, where your car can be out basically doing Uber rides by itself, picking up people, taking them where they want to go.
Yeah.
Right now, it's still level 2, so you got to have a person paying attention. So you can see it stop sign by itself, blinkers on,
God.
and if it's obstructed, it'll ease up. See, it's easing up, but it sees this car coming, so it's going to wait for it. And there's another one kind of behind it. Depends on how fast it thinks it can go. See, it started easing, but it's like, you know what, they're still going too fast.
Yeah.
And it's real time monitoring their speed and velocity too.
Wow.
So it knows the gap that it's got and how much time it's going to take to get out and how fast they're going. So and that's the nag right there. So it's like turning force. I would just have to give it a little bit of a nudge, and then that goes away.
So it's thinking.
Yeah. And so so if that car creeped over the hill, but it was going 10 miles an hour, just barely creeping, it would have gone on out because it knew it had plenty of time. Which is kind of cool because, for and people learn to kind of judge speed a little bit, but sometimes it's hard to tell at a distance how fast the car is going. And here's what I'm talking about, where it's showing 25 because it hasn't seen a sign yet.
Gotcha.
I'm just gonna flick up on this wheel a couple times to boost it up to 45, and then it'll speed on up by itself.
So then when it sees the speed limit, it will go back to...
It'll readjust. Yeah, so it's still saying 25 as the speed limit, but whenever a sign comes by, you'll see it'll change to whatever the last speed limit it saw.
According, yeah.
That's right.
That's wild. God almighty.
But yeah, sometimes I've noticed that it's better at judging the speed of a vehicle at a distance than I am, because there's sometimes, if there's like a red light way up ahead and it's a big straightaway so I can see it from half a mile away, I would probably start slowing earlier. And so you got a truck slowing down the turn, but because he's so far ahead, it's like not even worried about it because it knows he's going to be out of the way by the time it gets up here. You got another one pulling across your way up here.
That's insane.
But see, it didn't even slow down because it knows, hey, that truck's going to be clear. Now, if that truck pulled out and decided to stall or something, it would see, hey, this truck's not moving, I need to start slowing down.
Wow.
But
do you think they could hack the system that they can get in there and make it get in an accident? That's what
I mean. There's some concern out there about that because it's all kind of interconnected, right? I mean, I can remotely connect to it from my phone, and so in theory, yeah. So we've got this truck pulling across our path here with a trailer. So see, it's slowing because it knows, hey, it's got to get past, but no problem, right? I mean, it did exactly what I would have done.
Yeah, my God.
But yeah, so one of the things they do, just like any other company that's concerned about cybersecurity and people tapping in and hacking stuff, they're pretty cutting edge as far as on top of patches and getting ahead of like potential breaches like that. So they do an event, I think it's once a year. It may be more times than that, but at least once every year or so, they have a big, almost like they don't call it a hackathon, but something like that, where they basically invite these like top tech gurus and people that are real good with coding and computer stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll basically invite them to come to Tesla, and it's a competition. They see who can breach the system, who can get in and do stuff, and that way they figure out, and there's another snag right here, so I just have to give it a little bit of a touch, to figure out where the weak spots are, and so they can fix them. And then like it's a competition. Whoever, like the winner, will like get a Model 3 or something, like give them a car for doing the best job at breaching their system, so they can fix it.
Wow.
And so they stay ahead of that and try to
Wow. So all these people that are working for, what's his name over there?
Elon. Yeah.
Are top notch.
Oh yeah. And I've heard it's pretty brutal working for him because he drives them they're expected to work like crazy like he does. I mean, he's up there working like 100-something hours a week.
Oh yeah.
And so I've heard like it'd be cool working there, but on the other hand, like he'd be a tough boss to have because he's not gonna
Nah, and he sleeps in a camper.
Oh yeah, they get the top talent. Like I think for the last 3 or 4 years in a row, SpaceX and Tesla have been number 1 and number 2 as far as like engineering like jobs that people are trying to get.
Oh really?
So they get millions of applications a year, so they pretty much get the pick of who they want.
Wow, I couldn't imagine getting a job there.
I imagine it's not easy.
Man, Because, yeah, look at SpaceX. My God, the technology there too, right?
Yeah.
Is it like the same technology?
They do cross over somewhat. I know a lot of the some of the new Starship stuff. And here's an example of where when you get to an intersection, it kind of will sort of pan out and tilt up so you can see the whole intersection. And as soon as it turns green, it looks and goes. That's all by itself. This
That's
car.
insane.
Thinking
brother.
about pulling out, he decided not to.
Yeah. My God.
So this is taking us out to Bay Springs, and it's going to turn right on Bay Springs.
That is wild, dude.
I'm kind of glad we went this way because the last couple drives I've done with people, a lot of times they want to see downtown, so we've gone to the circle and downtown a couple times. And this particular route I haven't been on lately.
Yeah, country.
For the channel. Now I've shown some going out to work, which is country too, but
Is it? Oh yeah, 84.
it's just good to kind of mix it up.
Yeah. I can't believe it. I can't. What the hell?
Yeah, there's that nag again there. So I'm looking forward to the next update, which I'm expecting to get any day. They've already started. They've already started sending it out to some of the cars. I just haven't gotten it yet to download it. And it's a free software update. It'll just pop up, kind of like your phone, and say, "Hey, you got an update available," and then you download it and load it in there, and it's ready to go. And as soon as that new update comes in, as long as my glasses aren't on blocking my face, I won't have to do that nag. The one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that part will
Oh
go
my
away.
God. I'm surprised you don't develop a cell phone.
People have mentioned that a bunch. Like, there's people that think that he might, but he's multiple times has said, "No, we're not making a phone. We're not making a phone." Who knows? In the future, they might decide to.
Competition.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, between Apple and Android, they pretty much got that market pretty much nailed. I don't know that he'll want to try to go do something like that, but
yeah. God.
But also, I mean, Apple's talked about making a car too, and I think
What?
Yeah, I mean, there was some rumors for a while. I think they had a project going, just doing some R&D on it, but it seems like last year they basically said, "Nah, we're not doing that anymore." So I think they kind of canceled that.
Yeah, because after Steve passed away, I don't know, things changed with Apple, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's crazy, though. God almighty. Praise my elevation.
Yeah. Oh, that's the song that's on in the background. Just got it muted.
I was wondering.
Yeah, so I mean, since we've left your driveway, outside of the nag thing that I've had to do and then bumping the speed up, I mean, I haven't touched it. It's been doing its thing.
My God.
So you can see on the strip status, it's basically, it's telling us we're here, so we're about 2/3 of the way to where we're going. Still shows the same, this 57%, and we're at 58, so we're going to basically go through 1 more % of battery by the time we get there.
Man. So how long does the battery go for, you think?
This one, so at a full 100% charge, it gets around 320, 330 miles.
Okay. Yeah, you said you went to Nashville?
Yeah, and for that one, and it'll basically, and I can show you when we get to this next destination, we'll stop and I'll show you some of the stuff that it does in the navigation screen. So, yeah, for anything within a couple 100 miles, you're good without even having to charge anywhere. So when you get into having to use the supercharger network, is when you're on, you get a longer trip, 200 plus miles or more, you're probably gonna need to stop somewhere at least once to charge.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna do a video on just charging, because that's probably the most common question I get from people that are both skeptical and just curious about it. That's one of the first questions I always get is, well, how long does it take to charge? And it's kind of a loaded question. It seems like a simple question, but it's a more complicated answer because, and so this stop sign is where we want to turn. So it's going to show you on here the little chevrons. It kind of tells you that it's slowing down, and the blinker automatically comes on. And see, this is kind of a blind turn, so it's going to come up and it's going to stop, and it's going to look and make sure it's clear, and it's going to go.
God.
That's all by itself.
And it takes off.
Yeah, and everybody says that too, and it's funny, I don't even really notice it because it's just the electric motors are so torquey and they're so they pick up so fast. It's a much different feel from a gas car, even a fast gas car.
Yeah.
Just because there's really no lag there. There's no it's just quick acceleration. It's still smooth, so it's not like an uncomfortable acceleration. It's just everybody, when they feel it, they're like, "Whoa, man, that's kind of fast." But I don't even really notice it because I'm used to it. So even if I'm driving manually, that's kind of how it feels.
Do you drive manually a lot?
Not not hardly ever. Like I really like my daily commute. I let it drive, especially on road trips and stuff. I let it drive pretty much the whole way.
Wow.
Part of it is just fun. It's kind of a novelty. Like, I just want to see what it'll do, you know. And occasionally it'll get confused and I'll have to take over. Most of those takeovers, and we may have one today where we'll have to take over, but usually it's much more. It's being overly conservative and kind of going slow, or like waiting at a yield sign too long, and I don't want to get honked at, so I'll take over. But that's the vast majority of the time. Like, it's as far as just like it's staying on the road and doing the right traffic pattern stuff, it's pretty much spot on.
Yeah, because it's amazing how it keeps it right in the middle.
Oh yeah, and it does better at that than I do. And that,
yeah,
I would have told you before I started doing this, I would have felt like I was a very good driver. Like I've had like one accident in the 20-something years I've been driving. Like, I'm a very good conservative, I would have thought, driver. But when I'm driving manually, I find out that I'm like way all over the place in the lane compared to it just pretty much like.
So this will really critique you.
It will, yeah. And it's also got, even when you're manually driving, it does have like kind of emergency lane control. If it feels like you're leaving the road, it'll kind of beep at you and kind of help steer you back in.
Oh, wow.
To help prevent a crash. And so I'm sitting there driving, it'll be sitting there beeping at me and like, well, I thought I was, you know, but it's like, yeah, you're not doing as good as I can do, you know. It's like,
exactly.
It's like,
get out of the driver's seat.
Yeah, get off my back, car, you know.
Wow. But, I wonder, like, can a passenger drive the car from here? This side?
Not right now. So right now, I mean, of course, you're essentially driving as much as I am right now, but yeah, but if there's no driver sitting here, it's not going to allow it to engage because right now, per the law, you know, level 2 system, there's got to be a driver and they've got to be able to take over at any time. So
gotcha.
Now once they move to a level, I'm trying to think what the level is. Let's see. So it's telling us we guess our destination's in 100 feet. So we're basically at our pin, and here's the thing. So essentially right now, like, it's not going to find a parking place and park by itself. What I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm just going to pull over right here so we can look at this.
That will be level 2 then?
Well, as soon as it gets to, I'm just going to pull over here and I'll show you some of the other navigation stuff before we pick a different spot. But so eventually.
That is insane, dude.
So the idea, and you just poke that and it goes back into park and goes out here. So yeah, eventually, I mean, once they get, obviously, like a robo-taxi that goes and picks people up, it's going to have to, once it gets to its destination, would need to pull in, find a parking spot, park in a spot or a parallel spot or wherever it is. Because it may be a situation where you're in New York and it's a taxi cab, basically. It needs to be able to pull over and find a spot.
Busy place too. My God, that would be crazy.
Yeah, so right now, and it's got a function called auto park, where once you pull into a parking lot, it'll show you prospective spots that are available, and you can tap on one and then it'll go park itself.
Really?
Yeah, and we can find, so right now this lot is just sort of an open, there's like no spots really.
Yeah.
But maybe the next destination we'll find one and let it do the auto park thing. But to tell you about the chargers, so back to that question about like how long does it take to charge. So that's the biggest question probably I get, is how long does it take to charge?
Yeah.
Which is a simple question, but the answer is more complicated because it depends on a lot of stuff. So you've got basically 3 different levels of chargers that you can use. The DC fast chargers, like you see over at Eastside Winn-Dixie, like the big red and white Tesla chargers.
Yeah.
So those are DC fast chargers, and they're like 250 to 350 kilowatts. I mean, like, we're talking about high power, and it's DC direct to the battery. So they're super fast. Like, but it also, the other complex part is it depends on how much charge you have when you get there as to how fast that charge rate is. And that's with any battery. So if you plug your phone in and it's dead, those first 15, 20, 30% come up pretty fast. You probably noticed if it's about to die and you plug it in, you'll have 20% in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Because on the low end of that charging curve, the charge rate's super fast. And as the battery gets closer and closer to full, that charge rate kind of tapers off.
Yeah.
And so if your battery's at 90% and you plug in, you're charging a lot slower, so that last 10% may take you a long time to charge up.
Really?
To that last, yeah, and it just has to do with how fast it can actually put power back on that battery. It's just
it doesn't want to overload.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a function of just the way the electrical physics works on it. That's any battery. So if you're charging a boat battery on a trickle charger, it's basically the same thing. It'll taper as it gets closer to full charge. That's the same thing with the car battery. But you've also got lower tier chargers. So like the one in my garage is a level 2 charger, which means it's basically a 240, and you can use it in a 240 like wall outlet plug-in, or mine's hardwired into a 60 amp breaker, and so it'll charge fairly quickly for a home charger, but nowhere near as fast as a supercharger. And then you can even, I've got one in my trunk that's kind of emergency backup, and it's just a little mobile charger, and you can plug it into a 110, the same thing you plug your cell phone charger into.
But how long would that take?
Yeah, it's like 3 to 4 miles per hour that it puts back on. It's super slow. It's a super slow trickle charger. But if you were stuck in the middle of a town that had nowhere to charge, if you can find a plug somewhere, you know, if you go to your,
you're done.
You know, if you go to your cousin's house out in the sticks, and they got nowhere to charge anywhere, but you're staying there overnight, you could plug in overnight and get 50, 60 miles back on your car just from their outside plug.
Oh, that's all you would get from that?
I mean,
okay.
yeah, so it's probably 3 or 4 miles every hour. So it's, so that's why the question's a little more complicated. I want to do a video kind of showing the different types of chargers and kind of giving a demonstration of here's how long it takes if you plug in a supercharger. You can plug in and get in your car and just watch it tick up like percent. It's just flying up. You plug in at home, like my charger at home, it'll fully charge it overnight. Yeah. It's gonna take a few hours. And then obviously if you plug into a 110 outlet, you're going to be trickling real slow.
Oh my God, yeah.
But for the longer trips, what's nice about it is the software takes care of everything. So where's somewhere out of state you might go, like somewhere you might want to visit that's farther than a few hundred miles?
Denver.
Okay, let's do that. So if you just say, let's go to Denver.
And since you're going there.
Yeah. How about Denver Zoo? That's 1,200 miles away.
So it said pins all over. Is that what they are?
So those are the chargers right there, and it's still calculating all the different charge times. It's gonna tell you, you'll know exactly what to expect before you leave. So
what?
So right now, so everything's already done all the processing and everything. So if you pull this up, it's gonna show you all your specific driving turns, and then it's gonna say in Prattville in 35 minutes. So we're starting at 56%. So this is basically real time. If we left right now to go to Denver, it would take us up to Prattville, and we'd be at 10%, and then we'd sit there for 35 minutes. That'd be kind of a long one because we got to get to, let's see, from 12:54 to 3:46. So then you drive almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then in Gwynn, Alabama, you're going to charge again for 35 minutes.
Okay.
And then you're going to go.
That's up
another 3 hours. And that one's a 40-minute because it looks like we go all the way to Arkansas after that.
Arkansas, yeah, 40.
So about every 3 hours. I mean, you can see like, so I don't like sitting in the car more than about 3 hours. I want to get a snack. I want to pee. I want to do whatever. And so,
that's why I was always curious to, like, how do they know when they got to be charged? Oh my God.
And so it figures all that out, and it tells you pretty much when. Like if you were just taking the minimal amount of time to charge and get back on the road, those are the times. That's where the percentage will be at.
Oh my God.
And man, you can see it. So it only stops every about 3 hours, because you're going to be going about 280 to 300 miles, something like that, on the highway. And it's going to get you down below 20% before it has you charged, because it's pointless to stop and charge at 50% because the charge rate is so much slower. So it's not going to be very efficient to stop and get 10% in 20 minutes instead of 10% in 5 minutes if you're down on the lower end.
Gotcha.
But it's going to tell you every single place, and a lot of these. So when you start getting out west, the chargers are more spread out. They're not as available. So that's why you're seeing these 40, 50-minute charge times, because you've really got to stretch it out to that 3 hours between charges.
So hopefully you're going to have enough juice to get there.
That's right. Yeah, and so it'll tell you, like, if there's a span that's too far, it's going to tell you. It's not going to let you get halfway there and run out. Like it's going to, you're going to know ahead of time. And and in one of those situations, you could use your mobile charger somewhere and get some extra juice. But
oh my God!
But yeah, so it's
because Danny was telling me now that they're going and stealing the copper out of the chargers.
I've seen that in some places.
Man, oh
crazy.
Man!
Yeah, but some of these gaps, like right here in Kansas, I mean that's a long stretch between. So that's some of those where you'd have to sit there for 45 minutes. Yeah. To get enough juice to get all the way to that next charger.
Wow, that's amazing though.
Yeah, but for most trips around populated areas, like when we've gone up to Atlanta, to Chattanooga, down to Orlando and Tampa area, So there's enough chargers around there where you're still going 2.5 hours, and then you'll stop for 15 minutes. Usually 15 to 20 minutes is usually, which is a good. I mean, by the time you hop out, unload, go get a drink, go to the bathroom, get back.
Yeah.
You've got plenty to keep going, or you can sit and
like
get a little bit more
gas, right?
Right. But you don't have to stand with it though too. So that's when people think like, well, I don't want to spend 15 minutes when I can gas up for 5. But when you're charging, you just plug it in and walk away. Like you don't have to
sit in your car,
or
right?
sit there. Yeah, you can sit here and you can sit here and pull up Netflix or Hulu and watch a movie or something. If you want to.
And the air conditioner's still going.
Air conditioner's running.
My God.
And you can also, since it's not, there's no engine to sit there and run or idle and waste gas while you're out.
Hot.
Obviously, the AC uses some power, but it's very efficient. It uses very little power.
Man.
One of the things you can do that's kind of cool that we use a lot, like if we're about to run in and go to the bathroom, or run in and just if we got to grab a couple quick groceries, but it's 90 or 100 degrees out here, the car's going to heat up fast. Sitting in, you get out for 5 minutes, you can get back in, it's 100 degrees.
Oh my God.
But there's this function called keep. So if you pull the air stuff and tell it to keep, then it keeps the climate exactly where it is.
What?
And so you can turn that on. We can both get out, go do whatever we need to do, and it's going to keep the temperature right at 70 degrees or whatever we have it set to.
Wow.
So when you get back in the car, it's just like you left it.
Man.
And they've also got one called dog mode, which does basically the same thing, except whenever you get out, it shows on the screen that dog mode's enabled. It's like if you had a dog and you wanted to leave them in here when they not to get hot, you've got people somewhere that'll bust windows when they see a dog in a hot car. Like, these animal lovers that want to.
They don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. So your car, actually, you put it in dog mode, it shows the dog on the screen. It says, "My owner will be back soon. Here's the temperature." It shows the temperature real big. It says, "Hey, it's only 70 in here. It's okay. I'm comfortable." That way, people look in and be like, "Oh, they're fine. I'm not going to break the window to get the dog out."
Yeah, because they don't hear nothing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then they also got camp mode, and it's almost the same, but camp mode keeps all the interior lights off. So if you're trying to sleep in here, but it keeps the AC on, turns all the interior lights off. It does a couple other things. I think, let's see, cabin will stay until you get below 20%. It keeps the alarm stuff disabled because you're in the car.
Yeah.
Some different little AC modes that will.
My God, what the?
And this is how you control the vents right here. It's just like an iPad. You feel the air change, feel the air moving. You just use your fingers to change where you want the air to go, and it moves the vents.
That is cool. And it has the foggers.
Yeah,
defroster.
Right, you can turn on defrost stuff.
Oh my God! And probably through the windows too.
It's got them for the side mirrors in the back, and it's pretty efficient.
God Almighty!
All right.
How much does it cost to charge?
That also depends too. So depending on what type. So if you're at the house, it's whatever your residential rate is, right? So ours, for Alabama Power that we're on, our normal rate's was about 12 cents a kilowatt hour, I think is what we're normally on. They do have an incentive that I'm using right now for like a nighttime charging, which it benefits them because you can basically raise the grid load at night when they don't have as much demand, so it helps them out, and then it helps you out because they give you a little bit of a discount. It's like 2 cents a kilowatt hour off, so it's like, so at night for between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m., and this would vary by location, but they discount mine by 2 cents a kilowatt hour during those times. So it basically costs me 10 cents a kilowatt hour from 9 to 5 at night to charge. So just, let's see, rough math, because I'm not good at math in my head.
I have to do my laundry at night too because it was cheaper. Yeah,
so this is an 82 kilowatt hour battery pack. So that would be from 0 to 100%. If you were completely out, which you never get completely out, and you hardly ever go to completely full, because that's another thing is, just for long-term battery health, they recommend for daily driving to stay between about 20 and 80%. That's just kind of it's a happier place for the battery, as far as if you fully discharge or fully fill it up, it can wear out the battery faster long-term. So, but let's just say, just worst case scenario, if you filled up from 0 to 100%, that's 82 kilowatt hours. And so if you're, and we'll even use our normal daytime rate of 12 cents a kilowatt hour. That'd be $9.84.
What?
For a full fill up at the house.
Jeez, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, superchargers are the most expensive way to charge, the DC fast chargers. and they're on average about 35 cents a kilowatt hour to charge. And so
because it's fast.
It's faster. It's using more power. I mean, they're putting out more juice, right? They're like 300 kilowatt hours, so they're putting out the power, and they're just the infrastructure too. They're like liquid cooled. They've got liquid cooling in the cables and stuff because they're putting so much power out. It's got a lot of heat they got to get rid of.
Gotcha.
So at 35 cents a kilowatt hour, if you were to go from 0 to 100%, still $28. So you're looking at half of what a tank of gas is probably, or less. I mean, our 400, probably 60, $70 to fill up. So this one, even the most expensive chargers, be about $30, $28.
Yeah, because and too, Barry, when they first came out, wasn't it like $15,000 to have that thing hooked up at the house to plug your car in?
I don't know what they started with. Probably not that much. Like, so I mean, mine, me and Lisa's dad, my father-in-law, he was retired electrical engineer. So he's good with electrical stuff, and so he helped me wire mine up myself.
Oh, okay.
And so it was $500 for the charger. We paid for a little bit of conduit, a little bit of wiring, and put it in ourselves. So I mean, it was very inexpensive. And actually, Alabama Power has an incentive where they will basically refund you that cost of the charger because you're paying them to charge the car. So so it essentially didn't cost me anything except for the bits and pieces I bought from Lowe's to do the installation. That was pretty much all it cost. Now, if you got an electrician to do the install, you may be looking at a couple $100, few $100, whatever their hourly rate is. But it took me and Bruce probably hour and a half for the whole thing, and that's running the wire, putting in the new breaker.
Yeah, because my mom's cousin was saying you needed special stuff to plug the car in. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people just use their mobile connector. So the mobile connector that I said I've got in the trunk, you can plug it into a regular wall outlet, or it's got a separate adapter for like a dryer outlet. So you can run a 220 charge and still get the quicker home charging speed off the mobile charger. So a lot of people just use that, and they don't even have to wire into their breaker at all. They just plug into their dryer outlet in their garage or whatever, if you've got the 220 outlet. Now, if you had an older house that needed a panel upgrade or have a new outlet put in, obviously that's going to cost more. But if you've already got the electrical infrastructure, putting in the new breaker and running the wire for the wall connector charger, it's not much.
That's great. Maybe because that's when it first came out with the Teslas, and they weren't as far.
I don't know.
I don't know. Because how long have they been going now?
They came out in around 2008, 2007, 2008, something like that. Yeah. Now back then they only had like one or two models. Now they've got the S and the X, which are the bigger, higher end, more expensive SUV and the bigger sedan, and then they got the 3 and the Y, which is the more compact. This is the Y. The 3 is basically the same, but a little shorter.
That's
it
my mom's cousin's got
it's got the trunk instead of the hatchback in the 3. And then now they've got the Tesla semi-truck. They've got an 18-wheeler truck that's like 500-mile range, and that's at like 82,000 pounds, like at full highway load.
Yeah.
And they're using them a lot out west. Pepsi ordered like 20 of them, and so they're testing them out.
Walmart, I think, got some.
I think they did place an order, yeah. So they're not in mass production. They're still working on their production facility to ramp up big production on those. And then they've got the Roadster, which is a more high-end sports car. It's like a little 2-door sports car.
Oh, wow.
That they got a new version coming out in a couple of years.
That's for the real rich guys.
they're high.
Man, everything's built in Texas?
No, well, so their newest factory's in Texas, and that's where they're producing most of the Model Ys in the U.S. But they've also got one in Fremont, California, and that's where the S and the X are built. And I think they build Model 3s in Fremont also.
Okay.
And then they've also got a plant in Shanghai, China. They've got a plant in Germany, near Berlin. I think it's in Brandenburg, near Berlin.
Oh, really?
They've got a battery factory in Nevada and New York.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So those are all their main plants, and right now they're looking at building one in Nuevo Leon in northern Mexico near Texas. There's another plant that their next generation vehicle, which is planned to be kind of the robo-taxi type. It's like a 2-door, smaller, compact vehicle. That one's going to be built in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's their current, and they've looked at possibly Thailand or India. They're still looking at another place to have like a major hub for local, because what they're trying to do is get at least a factory on every major continent, so they're not having to ship vehicles or because that's a lot of cost to try to get across the ocean. Because Shanghai is their biggest production facility right now as far as total output. But so before the Brandenburg plant was built, they were having to ship vehicles from Shanghai to Europe for those sales. Well, now they're not having to do that because they got a Brandenburg facility that can kind of be that local hub out there.
Yeah, God almighty, that's insane. I wonder where they're going to build the trucks.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if that one is being built in Texas or in Nevada. I don't remember where the semi factory. They're already in the process of building it, but I don't remember where that one is.
And do they have a pickup truck too?
The Cybertruck, so that assembly line is in Texas also. Okay. I've got one of those on order.
You do?
I'm waiting to get the VIN number for it. I haven't got a VIN number yet.
Oh wow, that'd be cool.
Hopefully in the next couple months I'll have it though. I'll have to take it around.
Oh really?
Yeah, and so they're building them in Texas also. They've already started deliveries. They started deliveries in late November, early December, and so they just haven't come up to my number yet.
That's cool.
Anyway, so where to next? You wanna head back? Do you wanna
wherever you want to do?
Let's see. So we can. So it took kind of back roads on the way here. I bet if we go back, and I'll show you, if we just swipe down, it automatically goes to home. And so right there, it's going the back way. But what we can do, let's tell it. We can pick a different route. If we go that way and go the 84 route. Yeah, so we'll take 84 back home. Since we took the country roads this way, we'll take 84 back.
Okay.
And
that's cool.
So
Whispering Pines.
Yeah, so to go, you just put your foot on the brake, and then it'll go into gear and automatically turns on your backup camera.
And it does the mirrors and everything. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you'll see. So FSD won't work in reverse yet. So that's why that little wheel hasn't shown up yet, because since I had it in reverse and was trying to get around there, it's like, hey, you can't engage it yet. So in this next clip, what you're about to see is technically a disengagement, but it was my fault in that I knew that we were going back out on the 84, the main road, which is just to your left in the picture. But the route that it's taking is going to take us to the right a few blocks and then make a left to get back to 84. And so I had in my mind that it was going to take an immediate left and a right to get on 84. So when it started to go right, my brain just thought, oh, it's going the wrong way, and I hit the brake, which disengaged it. That was totally on me. That was not FSD's fault. It was navigating to go to the right and make a left on another county road before it got to 84. So anyway, that's what you're about to see. You can see now that we're in a place where it can take over, the little wheel shows up.
That's wild.
Tap it down and
my God.
Yes, actually, I was gonna go, but I thought it. Yeah, so actually, that was my fault. I thought it was gonna go this way to 84, but it's the way that it's routing it. It's taking us back like down one road, and it's gonna make a left onto this Marshall Road and head back over.
Okay.
So that was my fault. I was like, I thought it was about to go the wrong way, but that's the way the routing showed it. It was going to the right first, and then making a left on this Marshall Road, which I've never been down before.
So what does it do? Shortest?
It's going to default to the quickest route, which is why I wanted to take us back. See, it says it's faster to go the country roads the way we came the first time. So it wants to default to the fastest route, and I had to. You can force it to go a different route if you want to. And so this is interesting. We got a UPS truck in the road right here, so this will be an interesting thing to watch. So I'll give it the full length and get rid of this nag.
Oh yeah, there.
So it shows them out there, and you can probably see. So you can see the driver in the field over here. It sees the truck, but it sees there's no cars coming. It's just gonna put on the blinker, get on over, and go around the truck.
Oh my God! Yeah.
You can see him over there, and so had he, and here's our turn right here. But had he been about to walk out into the road, it's also calculating all the people's positions and stuff too. So it would have slowed down and stopped for him, because it's very sensitive about people. If there's someone standing on the edge of the road, it'll move over and give them room, or if they're walking this way, it'll stop and let them get across.
And a dog too, the same?
Larger dogs it will, yeah. Now that doesn't happen enough for me to really gauge what size of a dog it's going to pick up. But yeah, if there's a big dog, it'll actually show it on screen, and it'll show it as a dog.
Oh my God.
Things small like a squirrel, it doesn't really see those things. So you kind of have to be watching for those if you want to miss them. But
that's insane.
Yeah, so it's now defaulted back to 28. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of a bump up here.
Stop.
Because speed
limit signs.
Because it turned, and I don't think it's seen a speed limit sign yet.
My God. And then you'll be able to talk to it. Drive me home.
Yeah. Now you can give it voice prompts if you push this button. You can give it voice prompts to say navigate to whatever, and it'll take those also.
Oh my God. My God. So now would be a good time to buy the Model 3 to get the people in the door, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man.
And they're coming down in price. So, you know, when they first started coming out, prices were sky high. When I first started looking at them in 2019,
100,000.
yeah, all you really had was the S and the X, and they were up in the 100,000 something range. I'm like, well, you know, I can't afford a vehicle like that. So
yeah,
and not many people can. But even the S and the X over the now that they've, you know, the production has gotten up high enough to where they can bring their costs down some. This car's about to turn this way, so it will probably wait until it sees it decelerating enough to where it knows it's not going to interfere with where we're going, and so even before it's out of the way, it knows it's turning, and so it's going to ease on out. I mean, this is a road I've never even been on. I don't even know what road this is, but you know, I know that it's still on the navigation and it's still going where it's supposed to go.
Something how it knows the maps, like
yeah,
all the roads.
Yeah, let's see where it's planning on. WG Bond Road. Yeah, so we want it to go back to 84. Yeah, so whenever I disengage and re-engage, it tried to default us back to that other road. So now we got it going back to 84. So it's going to take this, whatever this road is, WG Bond.
Yeah, because look at there's, oh, it said honeysuckle.
Yeah, and I think what happened when that first one, when I thought it was going to go left, but it was turning right to go the short route. When I took over and then re-engaged it, it defaulted back to the short trip. So I had to change its, basically change its default back to the 84 route.
Gotcha. So you could do all that stuff.
Yeah, without having to actually come out of the navigation, you can go in and you can even edit it too. So if I said, you know, I really want to go by CVS on the way home, you can hit these little three dots and say add stop, and you can add a stop to it, and it'll just kind of queue it up into the thing, and you can rearrange where you want it to.
Oh,
you know,
really?
Say, hey, well, I want to go to Publix first, and then here you can put all those in there, and then swap their locations in your navigation.
Oh my God, that's cool. My God. So yeah, actually, Lisa could drive the car.
Yeah, I mean, really, yeah. I mean, technically, she's not licensed right now because she doesn't have a driver's license after the stroke. But when it does come up to the level 4, I guess level 4 driving is when the driver is not actually legally even required to be in charge of it. So in this next clip, it's the first, I would say, real disengagement of the drive. FSD is really going faster than it should to approach this curve, and so I had raised my foot toward the brake as I normally will if I'm watching what it's doing, but I'm getting ready to take over if I need to, and I tapped it accidentally, and it is so sensitive to disengage because it wants you to be able to basically take over in an instant if you need to. So but it was my fault for bumping the brake when I was really just trying to get ready to take over. I'm gonna have to slow down kind of fast here. So you'll stop me kind of quick there. So I think I tapped the brake too early actually, and then it disengaged it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, autopilot disengaged. What happened?
Yeah, so you can actually give it live feedback, and I'll turn it back on and let it pull it out. And this is 84 right here.
My God, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, so I was gonna take over because it looked like it was going too quick.
Yeah.
And then when I hit the thing, it took over, and then I was like, oh, and I got to steer because it took over. So I actually confused myself a little bit.
Yeah. It's that.
But as soon as you give it more than just a tiny, like it'll take a little pressure without taking over, because that's what it needs to make sure you're paying attention. But if you pull it just a little further than that, it'll hand it over to you. Basically, you've got it at that point. And the brake is even more sensitive. If you, like you saw back there, like I got my foot ready to take over, but I accidentally touched it and it took over itself. Wow. And that's what caused it to not steer right there, because it's like, hey, you got it, because it thought I wanted it.
Yeah, man.
So
I wonder how many people got in accidents
by doing that.
Yeah.
And it's you have to get used to the feel of what it's going to do and what you have to do to actually take over.
Wow. How is it driving when it's thunder and lightning? Because down in Florida, the cars were catching on fire, they said. Is that true?
Well, you got to take those things with a grain of salt when you hear because if you look at the actual stats, because I see that stuff all the time, because some of the groups that I'm on online, there's always people in there being like, these things catch on fire all the time, and it's really just not true. Like the probability, like the actual, I mean, the statistics that are out there, like just the raw data, you look at the statistics, a hybrid vehicle is statistically, and see this light changed, it's got to make a decision when it turns yellow. If it thinks it can stop, it'll do it. If it was beyond that and it turned yellow, it's going to go on through it. Just like, yeah, so it's got to make that decision. Like, and it was kind of in that gray area of do I stop, do I go? But
like fast.
Yeah, eventually and it has to make that decision pretty quick. And so if it can stop safely, it's going to do it.
Wow.
But anyway, so yeah, a hybrid is like, I mean, I don't even know what multiple is, but it's way more likely to catch fire than a gas car or a pure EV. Yeah, the hybrids are the worst probability of catching fire. Gas cars are the next highest probability, and pure battery EVs have the lowest percentage rate of catching fire of any other vehicle.
Why do they say that?
Just because it gets clicks and headlines, and that's how the news companies get money. If they see a Tesla headline that says Tesla caught on fire somewhere, it's going to be on the news front page, you know.
Oh, they're trying to make them look bad.
Yeah. Well, part of it, you know, Elon has been pretty outspoken as far as like some of his views on certain things, and with Tesla being non-union, the unions try to go after him. So there's there's people with agendas out there that want to make them look bad.
They're jealous.
And I mean, are there fires occasionally? Yeah, but for every one Tesla fire, there's probably 50, you know, other gas fires that never even get coverage.
Anything,
because you know.
Yeah, because how many Teslas? There's one there, right?
Yeah, that's the Model Y right there.
How many Teslas are on the road? Do they tell you any of that?
Those numbers are out there. I don't know right now. I mean, there's well over 1 million on the road worldwide, because they've produced and sold, you know, 5 or 6 million over the last you know, 12 years or 13 years, however long they've been out.
Oh man.
But there's actually, I forgot the number. There's something like 400,000 to 500,000 using FSD, like active FSD users right now.
Huh. I didn't know.
And those numbers are out there too, because basically everybody that's using FSD, all the data is getting collected to help make the system better. Like every mile that's driven using FSD helps train the system to be even better the next update that comes out.
Wow.
So it kind of helps. It's sort of exponential.
That's great.
The more cars that are on the road logging more miles helps the system get better and better, faster and faster.
Yeah. I'm surprised that they don't give you a car to like so many people. Say, hey, take my car, drive it.
Yeah. Now they've got testers. They do have internal testers. That's what their job is to go try to find these tough spots and try to put it in those situations to figure out what the limitations are, so they can help the system get better.
Yeah. Wow. That's something. Now with your truck, can you get it like different colors?
Not from the factory. So they all come. You've probably seen the pictures of that crazy triangle-looking stainless. It's just stainless steel and it's bare. There's no paint on it or anything.
Yeah.
So that's how they all come. Is stainless. Now what a lot of people do. I mean, you could paint it in theory. Take it to a shop and get it painted. A lot of people wrap them though. You can do like the vinyl wraps. And that's what I'm planning on doing. So the silver is all right, but I like the matte black. I think it makes it look way better. So I'm going to do mine in a black vinyl wrap
cool.
after I get it. There's a shop here in Dothan called Auto Armor Dothan, and they did the paint protection film on this car.
Oh, okay.
And they're a family shop, and they were great to deal with. So I'm going to get them to do it for me.
Yeah, they do detailing. They're like the best one in the Dothan area.
Yeah, they do. So yeah, they actually
family.
Thomas Saunders is the guy that runs it. He does like all like their detailing and stuff. And he actually travels all over. Like I think one of the times that I went over there to talk to him about it, he was out in California. They had a big some kind of big auto auction thing that were about to happen, and they flew him out there to detail all these antique cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time.
I heard it's expensive though to get your car to like $800.
Oh yeah, I'm sure for that level of detail, like to go through the full buffing and waxing and and all of it's by hand. I mean, they do a really good job.
Okay.
Because when they do the PPF, the paint protection film stuff, they do a full like kind of color matching, make sure all the swirl marks are out, and make sure the paint's pristine before they cover it.
Oh wow!
So they do a real good job, and they actually don't do vinyl normally anymore. They started out doing vinyl, and they kind of got out of that side of it when they started doing all the PPF. They do ceramic coating too, that like liquid ceramic,
Yeah.
to help protect the paint. And so, but when I asked them about it, they said, yeah, I think the Thomas was interested in seeing the Cybertrucks. He's like, yeah, I think he'll come out of vinyl retirement to do the vinyl on it.
That's
So
cool.
I was thankful they would do it, because I wanted to use someone local if I could.
Yeah, yeah. Because I used to deliver beer down Tampa,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy bought an electric pickup truck too, but he bought the other kind. What the heck's it called?
There's a few else. The Ford makes one. The F-150 Lightning
No,
is one of them. They
that's
got
what my nephew got.
Okay. Rivian.
Rivian.
The Rivian R1T is a truck, and they've also got an SUV, the Rivian R1S. It looks just like the truck from the front, but it's got a back on it instead of a bed.
Okay. Do you like those?
Yeah, I like them all right. So when they first came out, they've got like the big oval headlights. They kind of look funny on the front. It was sort of funny, kind of different looking at first, but they've grown on me. I kind of like the way they look now. And
Yeah, they even have a spot buried inside it. You can put your golf clubs.
yeah, it's like that gear tunnel thing. That's pretty cool. They've got a lot of storage space in them.
Yeah.
And the interiors of them, I've never been in one, but all the videos I've seen, the interiors are super nice.
Oh,
They got really nice stitched leather and stuff on the seats, and
Yeah, he was showing me the whole thing. And
yeah,
I was like, I was impressed.
yeah.
But it was expensive too.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and all the ones when they first come out, like the production's really low, so it's costing them a ton to make them until they can ramp up production a lot.
God. How long is a battery good for?
I mean, typically longer than you would keep the vehicle. So the batteries have their own separate warranty, because it's the most expensive single part of the vehicle, just like your engine in a car.
Uh-huh.
But they've got a really good warranty on them. So just the battery itself is warranted from, and it's not just for like lemons type, catastrophic failure type stuff. It's if your battery will not take a full charge above, I think it's 70% after like before 8 years or 125,000 miles, they'll swap it under warranty for free.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, if you're out of warranty, it's probably gonna be a few thousand. It's gonna be basically like an engine swap. It's gonna be an expensive change.
Yeah.
But so they're warranted for, like I said, 125,000 miles or 8 years.
Man.
But most of them are gonna last, well over 300,000 miles. So most people don't even keep a car that long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So typically, they're designed to outlast the rest of the vehicle, just like an engine typically is. Even though you do have early failures occasionally. Just like you'll have a lemon sometimes in a gas car, and the engine will fail. My very first truck was a '94 Toyota pickup, and I bought it in '98. So it was a few years used, but the previous engine had blown, and they had swapped the engine out. And so, of course, I was a 16-year-old guy. I just wanted a truck, so I bought it for like $7,000 or something like that, and I loved it. I drove it until I was living here. I had it for like 15 years or something.
Oh, wow.
Maybe not quite that long. I had it from '98 until probably 08 maybe, or 09, maybe 2010. I don't know. I had it over 10 years. I mean, from when I was 16 all the way through the rest of high school, all of college, changing jobs. Like, I drove that truck for forever.
Yeah, and it ran good.
Yeah, it really did. It was a stick shift, manual transmission, four-wheel. I loved it. It was a great first truck.
Yeah, because with my Prius, they said like the battery would only last like 80,000 miles. That's why I got rid of it.
Yeah.
And it was like $4,800 for a battery.
Yeah. Well, they've come a long way. I mean, because now you got a lot of different companies that are making them, and since they're selling so many more of them, they put a lot more research and development into them, and changed up the battery chemistries and stuff.
Wild.
So, yeah, so here you got two trucks on the left, and you got a truck over here on the right in our lane, getting their mail, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's just it's automatically going to get on over and go around just like they would.
That's crazy.
And I'm going to take over here because it navigated to my house. I'm going to cut it off so I can turn back into your driveway. It doesn't pass by here.
I could open the gate, cut through you. That is wild. My God, man, that's cool, man.
That's it.
That is really cool. I'm really totally impressed.
Yeah,
My God.
I like showing people because it's pretty cool what it can do.